The Vorth Collective had seen everything the galaxy could offer in war. They had shattered fleets twice the size of their own. They had driven enemy commanders to surrender without firing a shot. They had reduced proud civilizations to whispers of memory. And yet, in the silent dark beyond the Hellion Rift, every ship in their armada stopped. The Grand Armada of the Vorth was assembled there, a sight meant to inspire terror. Hundreds of warships floated in perfect formation, their flanks gleaming with the blue-white light of plasma reactors. Beneath them lay the prize, Karos Prime, a lush human colony world, green and untamed. The Vorth expected no resistance worth noting. Humans were new to the galactic stage, their technology crude compared to the Collective's 1,000 years of warcraft. Karos Prime's orbital defenses were minimal, a few patrol frigates, outdated missile platforms, nothing that could slow the Vorth advance. The Grand Admiral's orders had been simple. Arrive. Destroy. Occupy. The first phase had begun without a hitch. Their scouts had swept the outer system clear, their path to Karos Prime was open, and their guns were warming for the first bombardment. And then, the sensors screamed. It began as a ripple at the very edge of the system, a gravitational disturbance that didn't match any known fleet jump signature. The Vorth tactical AI failed to identify it, which was unusual in itself. Then, space tore open. From the wound in reality, something emerged. At first, the Vorth bridge crew thought it was a station, too large and too still to be a warship. But as its shape became clear against the backdrop of stars, the truth settled over them like a shadow. It was a ship. A single ship. Long and jagged, its armor plating blackened by centuries of battle scars. Massive gun batteries jutted from its flanks, each the size of a Vorth destroyer. Deep along its hull were strange markings, worn and pitted, not painted, but carved into the metal itself, like some ancient ritual script. It had no transponder code, no identification beacon. It broadcast no diplomatic greeting, no warning. And yet, there was a presence to it, something that radiated through the void. The Vorth Grand Admiral found himself leaning forward, his secondary hearts beating faster. His claws flexed against the armrests of his command throne. "Report," he demanded. The sensor officer's voice was thin. Mass reading impossible. Density beyond any recorded vessel. Weapon signatures active across the hull. "Sir, our database has no match. Not even a partial." The Grand Admiral narrowed his eyes. "It's human?" There was a pause before the officer answered. "The design suggests it. But humans shouldn't have anything remotely like this." The Grand Admiral knew that too. The humans had barely begun building cruisers capable of interstellar deployment. Nothing in their public registries hinted at this level of engineering. Yet this thing was human in its lines. Aggressive. Practical. Built for one purpose: survival through annihilation. It was wrong. Wrong because it should not exist. Wrong because, in the Vorth's long history of conquest, no single ship had ever radiated such inevitability. The alien armada shifted uneasily in formation. Crews on every bridge watched their viewscreens as the ship drifted closer. It did not accelerate. It did not posture. It simply moved with a predator's confidence, as though the hundreds of Vorth warships around it were nothing but drifting debris. "Open a channel," the Grand Admiral ordered. "Static." "Try again." "Static." The communications officer's frill trembled. "Sir, it is not receiving." The Grand Admiral's mandibles clicked slowly. "Not receiving, or not interested." The mysterious warship came to a stop between the Vorth fleet and Karos Prime. Its hull eclipsed part of the colony's pale blue atmosphere in the background. Its sheer size distorted the light of the stars behind it. Then something subtle happened, subtle, but enough to send a shiver through every Vorth spine. The ship turned. Slowly. Deliberately. The movement wasn't tactical. It wasn't defensive. It was personal. It was the slow, unhurried pivot of a predator deciding which prey to take first. On the Grand Admiral's flagship, the tension grew unbearable. Weapon crews whispered to each other. Officers stared at their consoles but didn't speak. The admiral himself felt his instincts honed over decades, screaming at him to wait. His second-in-command broke the silence. "Orders, Admiral?" The Grand Admiral opened his mandibles to reply, and found no words. Because in that moment, he realized what he was feeling. Not caution. Not calculation. Fear. For the first time in his career, the Fourth Grand Admiral felt like prey. The warship's hull lights flared briefly, not a weapon's discharge, but a pulse, rhythmic, deliberate. The Vorth's translation AI identified it as a coded message in ancient Terran Morse. One word. Leave. It was not a threat. It was a statement. The Grand Admiral thought of the legends, the rumors told among fringe traders and deep space scavengers. Whispers of a last bastion of humanity's lost war fleets, hidden since the cataclysm. A single ship that had survived when worlds burned, never seen twice in the same place. The humans never spoke of it. The few who claimed to have seen it never lived long. And now, here it was, blocking the Vortha's path without hesitation. The Grand Admiral looked out at the black shape, its scarred armor, its silent defiance. He knew what his orders from the collective demanded: to press forward, to crush any resistance. But he also knew the truth. If they moved against this ship, the Armada would not survive. His claws tapped the command console. Signal the fleet. Full withdrawal. There was a stunned pause across the bridge. The second-in-command turned to him, shocked. "Admiral." The Grand Admiral's voice was low, heavy. "You do not fight what should not exist." And so the Vorth Armada turned away from Karos Prime, engines burning bright against the void. No shots fired. No explanations given. The mysterious human warship watched them go, unmoving, silent, patient. As if it had done this before. Many times. Long after the Vorth were gone, the ship lingered. Only when the last alien signature faded beyond the system's edge did it turn again, vanishing into the same Terran space from which it had come. And in the silence of the Hellion Rift, the galaxy's most feared armada had learned something new. Fear had a shape. And it was human. In the ashes of Earth's old war network, there was a truth every human child was taught, though it was never printed in books, never spoken in official halls. We are never unprotected. The galaxy didn't believe it. The alien armada certainly didn't. The Vera 9 system was a peaceful frontier, Earth's most distant colony, green and thriving under a pale gold sun. Farmers tended the soil, traders filled the sky lanes, and children played on warm hills under alien constellations. But beyond the outer rim, the Zeranth Dominion had been watching. They were not newcomers to conquest. For 3 centuries they had expanded their reach, turning planets into resource vaults and people into subjects. Vera 9's defenses, they believed, would fall within hours. And so the Dominions sent their fleet. It arrived in a thunder of warped space, 300 warships, their hulls shimmering in the cold light. Cruisers, carriers, destroyers, each bristling with weapons that had erased civilizations from existence. They fell into attack formation without hesitation, their commander already tasting victory. Their scans showed the truth they expected: no human warship of significant size anywhere near the colony. Only light patrol craft, a few orbital batteries, and outdated missile platforms. Victory was certain. The order to advance was given. Then, the Dominion fleet's forward pickets saw something rising. From behind Vera 9's pale moon, a shadow moved, slow at first, then gliding with deliberate purpose into the light. The alien commander frowned at the readings. They made no sense. The silhouette that emerged dwarfed even the Dominion's flagship. It was human. A warship so large it seemed to warp the space around it. Its hull was not sleek or ceremonial, but scarred in brutal armor layered thick over scars from ancient battles. Along its flanks, gun batteries the size of cities rotated into readiness. The commander barked for identification. None came. The ship carried no registry, no name painted on its hull, no broadcast code. But its design, they recognized it. the bridge fell silent. Centuries ago, in the last great war before the Dominion's rise, there had been stories whispered among survivors and smugglers of a single vessel that had fought alone against entire armadas. It had ended sieges in minutes. It had erased fleets so completely that even wreckage refused to remain. It had been called many things, but among humans, its name was legend. Aegis Aeternum. The Dominion commander sneered. Legends were for children. This had to be a bluff, an ancient relic dragged from a shipyard to scare them. Then the sensors began to scream. The readings were impossible power outputs beyond modern technology, shield harmonics that defied measurement. The Aegis's reactors burned like miniature suns, and its weapons, gods help them, were already charged. A single message came through, voice only. Come. Human. Male. This is your one chance. Leave. The commander's mandibles tightened. Ignore them. Destroy the ship. The fleet's forward destroyers moved in, weapons locking. And then the Aegis moved. It did not accelerate violently. It didn't need to. It glided forward with the inevitability of a falling mountain. Every turret along its spine rotated in perfect synchronicity. Energy gathered, visible even in the void, as the ship's forward batteries charged. One beam fired. Just one. It tore through the lead destroyer, cleaving it neatly in two. A second beam flashed, and another Dominion vessel ceased to exist. There was no debris, the beams vaporized everything they touched. Panic spread across the alien calms. Orders overlapped, crews shouted, ships scattered from formation. The Aegis did not pursue. It didn't have to. It stopped, perfectly still in the void, and simply turned, slowly sweeping its massive hull toward the Dominion flagship. Every alien officer on the bridge felt it, that invisible weight pressing down on them, the instinct that said you are prey. The commander's second-in-command spoke in a whisper. Sir, this is not a bluff. The commander's breath rasped. He thought of the history they'd dismissed, the records they'd deleted. The warship that had never been cornered, never been defeated. A ship said to be the last guardian of humanity, hidden away until the day it was needed again. And here it was. The commander swallowed his pride. Signal the fleet. Disengage. The withdrawal was slow, careful, no sudden movements. The Dominion ships drifted back, their weapons lowering. The Aegis watched them go, motionless, its gun batteries still hot with energy. Only when the last Dominion ship warped away did the Aegis turn again. Without a word, it descended back toward Vera 9's moon, disappearing behind its cold silver curve. Then, nothing. As if it had never been there at all. On Vera 9, the farmers kept farming. The traders kept trading. The children kept playing. They would never know how close they had come to losing it all. But somewhere in the colony's deep memory, in the unspoken truth every human carried, the lesson would endure. We are never unprotected. And far above, in the silent void, the last guardian waited for the next war. The Karate Armada moved like a storm front across the void. For weeks, they had rolled through the Soaring Belt, system after system falling to their guns. Cities burned. Signals of surrender went unanswered. Resistance was crushed with the efficiency of a predator that had never known fear. Now, they set their eyes on their next prey, a human settlement on the edge of the Orion Spur. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage. Brave, yes, but hopelessly underpowered compared to the fleets of the Karate. They had only a handful of colonies scattered among the stars, each defended by ships barely worthy of the name Warship. The Armada's flagship, Bloodwake, cut through the darkness ahead of the fleet. On its bridge, Warlord Threx leaned forward, the cold light of the tactical display painting his scarred face. The readings were as expected, a small human colony, minimal defenses, no serious threat. This will be clean, Threx said, his voice carrying the certainty of one who had never been proven wrong. The helmsman nodded. Shall we signal the advance? Threx gave the order. And then, the sensors caught something. At first it was a flicker, a faint contact far out on the edge of the system. Small enough to ignore, perhaps a drifting piece of rock or an abandoned mining platform. But as the seconds passed, the contact grew sharper, resolving into something deliberate. Unknown vessel, the sensor officer reported. Closing on our position. No identification code. No response to hails. Threx frowned. Humans? The officer hesitated. Possibly. But it does not match any human registry. The profile is wrong. The contact grew closer. The details sharpened. It was a ship long, angular, a dagger of black metal sliding through the void. No hull lights except for two faint crimson pulses along its spine. No markings. No sound on comms. It was quiet. That was what unsettled them. Most ships, even when silent, radiated life in 1,000 tiny ways: heat signatures, shield harmonics, drive fluctuations. This one seemed almost dead. And yet it moved with precision, as if every motion had been calculated long before it began. As it drew near, the ship dwarfed even the karate cruisers. Weapon mounts bristled along its hull, but none were active. It simply came closer and closer, until the starlight began to disappear behind it. The bridge crew shifted uneasily. Even Threx, who had seen countless battles, felt the hairs along his neck rise. "Should we intercept?" his second asked. Threx did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the vessel. There was something in the shape of it, something familiar in the worst possible way. The old stories whispered in karate war halls came to him unbidden. Stories of the old war, long before his birth, when humans had fought in a way no one else in the galaxy dared. They had been fewer in number, less advanced, yet their ships had been relentless, unyielding. Among them, one in particular had been spoken of only in hushed tones. A nameless warship. A ghost. A ship that had never been destroyed because it had never been caught. A ship that appeared when humanity's survival was at stake and left nothing of its enemies behind. Threx had dismissed those stories as myths. And yet, staring at the black dagger before him, he felt a sick recognition. The ship stopped. It hung there between the karate armada and the human colony, utterly still. No threat signals, no activation of weapons. Just stillness. But the stillness was worse than an attack. It was the silence before something inevitable. The comms officer broke the tension. "Sir, it's broadcasting something." A single pulse, in a primitive binary pattern. The translation was simple. "Go back." The words hit like a blade. No arrogance. No demand. Just a statement, calm, final. Threx felt a surge of anger. "We do not take orders from ghosts." He gave the order to advance. The forward karate ships moved in, weapons hot. Their targeting systems locked onto the black warship. And then, in the span of 3 seconds, everything changed. The mysterious ship moved. Not with a burst of engines, but with an impossible slide through space, as though the void itself bent to its will. In one instant it was in front of the karate vanguard, in the next, it was among them. Blinding light erupted from its flanks, not beams, not missiles, but something else, something older and deadlier. Each shot erased a karate ship from existence in an instant, as if reality itself had been carved away. Panic swept through the fleet. Commanders shouted conflicting orders. Crews scrambled to reorient shields, to fire, to do something. But the black warship did not chase them. It simply returned to its position between the fleet and the colony, and went still again. Its silence was louder now. Heavy. Absolute. The second in command turned to Threx, voice shaking. "Sir, what are your orders?" Threx's claws dug into the armrests of his command chair. His pride screamed at him to press on. But every instinct, every primal, ancient instinct, screamed louder, "Leave." The stories were true. And he would not be the warlord who proved them again. "Signal the retreat," Threx said. His voice was low, but every officer heard the weight in it. The order rippled through the karate armada. Ships turned away, engines flaring as they pulled back from the black dagger in the stars. The warship watched them go. It never moved. Never spoke. When the last karate signature vanished into deep space, the ship's crimson lights pulsed once, twice, and then it turned. Without a flash, without a sound, it was simply gone. No one on the karate flagship spoke for a long time. Threx sat in silence, the image of that black vessel burned into his mind. In the days to come, he would tell no one what he saw. The karate records would show a strategic withdrawal due to unexpected environmental hazards. But among his crew, among those who had felt that silence, the truth would spread. Somewhere out there, in the dark, humanity had a weapon that was not meant for conquest. It was meant for endings. And when it appeared, the wise knew one thing. You did not wake the dead.